This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, we'll start. So till yesterday, we have completed one cycle, the core business process cycle, what normally we come across in a utility company. We are basically able to map at this point of time what you considered as the basic, core business process cycle, that is meter reading to cash, right from creating meter reading order till the payment is received from the contract account. What are the various processes we need to run in the system so that we have a end-to-end business solution for a utility company. Now moving forward, before you go to the other billing and invoicing scenario, we need to understand one very important information what we are already using at this moment, that is portion and MRU. Portion and MRU. These are also one kind of master data, but SAP considers them as basic functions. The postal regional structure and the portion and MRU, the scheduling, is also a kind of master data, but SAP terminology is basically called basic function. So under basic functions, you have got the postal regional structure and scheduling. So what we are going to talk is about the scheduling of billing and meter reading. And in a way, both are related to each other because it is the meter reading which is influencing the billing. Unless we are doing the meter reading, we cannot do billing. Now, in a utility company, we deal with enormous installation base. We have a very high consumer base. And for all these consumers, we are supposed to do periodic activities. That means most of the companies, if you see worldwide, they all go for periodic consumption billing, where meter reading is essential. Based on meter reading, we come to know what is the actual consumption for the particular period, and based on that, we do the billing and then invoicing. Although there is a supplementary process called budget billing, where for certain period we will not do the meter reading. We directly prepare a invoice, which is called budget billing invoice, based on a budget billing plan. But even there, we have to do meter reading at some point of time. So meter reading is very much essential part of the business process. In fact, the actual business process in ISU will start with the meter reading. That's what we have seen yesterday. Create a meter reading order, then collect the results from the site. The meter enters the results, validation. Then you are doing the billing, invoicing, and then posting it to FICA, and then clearing the open document by providing incoming payment. So meter reading is the starting process actually. But now imagine we have a very large consumer base. That's the installation. Most of the installations will come up for periodic consumption billing, which means every month, once in 2 months, once in 3 months. That means at what period you are going to do meter reading. Most of the residential consumers will come with monthly meter reading. That means period of meter reading is monthly. Although we can have monthly, bi-monthly, once in 3 months, most of the residential consumers will come under monthly meter reading. But when the meter reading has to happen is a basic question, because we cannot say randomly, today I will send my people to some installations, they do the meter reading. Tomorrow I will tell them you go here and then do the meter reading. That cannot work, because we have to schedule it and plan it in such a way. We are going to engage our manpower in such a way every installation will come up for meter reading during a particular period of time in a month, so that you can maintain the periodicity. So customer also knows in general during which particular date in a month their meter reading will happen, billing will happen, and they will be provided with the invoice. So both for the company as well as for consumer, it is something which has to be priorly fixed. so that we can plan and schedule and then collect the meter readings from the various installations. For achieving this, we actually maintain two important master records in the system, which are basically called schedule masters. So we need to have schedule masters for two important identifications. One is called portion and another is called MRU. The MRU will control the end billing and metering dates. It controls end meter reading date and meter reading date. That means for a particular installation, every month on which date a meter reading should happen. Already record will be available in the system. As per the record, you have to create the meter reading order. Unless you have scheduled master records available in the system for the particular month and the year, we cannot create the meter reading order. In SAP, usually we maintain for the current year and next year scheduled master records for MRU. Although in the system we have a provision to maintain for 7 years. That means suppose 2019, I have to maintain the records 2020, 2021. Like that I can go for 7 years. SAP provides mechanism by which you can store up to 7 years. But usually we see it is for current year and the next year. And later on, there could be some changes in the organizational structure. And accordingly, you can create the new scheduled records. And as per the law in certain countries, we have to intimate all the consumers in our territory on which particular date meter reading will happen, so that they can be available in the home, the premise is available for the checking, and the person can visit the meter, they can take the meter reading. So for all this to happen, the consumers also should know on what particular date the meter reading will happen. And usually in the website of the company, they will also give the portions and MRU, so that the consumer, when they do the move-in, they will come to know to which particular portion in MRU they belong to. And in certain companies, when they prepare the invoice and print, on that also they will say your meters will be read on so and so date every month, and the billing will happen so and so date. So that all this information is not only available with the company, also shared with the consumers. So MR unit will control what is the end date for meter reading, but this end date for meter reading cannot be fixed in isolation. It is a function of the billing itself. That means we have to fix what is the end billing date for the installation, so that based on that we can fix the meter reading to happen. Suppose let us assume a particular installation we have to bill on 10th of every month. So technically speaking, on 10th you should have done the meter reading, entered the result, and then available for billing. But we might start one day before. That means 10th is the end billing date. The scheduled date of meter reading is 9th. That means you can do the meter reading on 9th or 10th. Just one second. So the scheduled meter reading is a date what you can fix with relationship to the end billing date, because once we know what is the billing date, accordingly we can work back and then fix the end meter reading date. So the end billing date is controlled by the portion. The portion is required for the contract because it is a contract what we are billing, and MR unit is required for installation. So once we maintain the MR unit in the installation, for the installation we have created the contract. So the contract will automatically get the portion. Say for example, X is the portion we have created, to which we have assigned X1 as the MR unit. So this MR unit will go and sit in the installation. And for that installation, it means X1 is the MR unit. But for that installation, a contract has been prepared. which means the contract will have a portion called X. Okay. So the portion for the contract is derived from X. You don't have to enter the portion in the contract. It is derived from the MR unit. But sometimes you may have to give alternate MR unit, alternate portion in the contract, which will be different from the actual portion. But otherwise, if you don't maintain, you don't have to actually maintain any portion in the contract. The portion for the contract is derived automatically based on the MR unit, what you are maintaining in the installation itself. So the process here is like this. First, you have to create what you call the schedule master records. You have to create here schedule master records. And once you create a schedule master record, we will fix the initial data, initialization. Okay. It is like a template. So we have to start with some base date. So we will maintain a portion, and based on portion, we create MR unit. So this particular data is called schedule master records. It will fix the initialization from which date the billing can happen, from which date metering can happen. Once it is maintained, then we maintain periodical data. That means valid for how many years? 2019, 2020, 2021. Then the scheduled master records will be available in the system. And then MR unit will be entered in the installation. So at any given point of time, we know the particular installation will come up for metering on which particular date. So whenever you create a metering order, we are actually creating the metering order for the scheduled date, on which date the metering should happen. Okay. So basically, portion controls the end billing date, and MR unit will control the end metering date. But end metering date and end billing date are the same, because the end of the day, it is a billing which is deciding the end billing period. Now, portion will have a parameter record. Portion will have a parameter record, and based on the portion, we create the, actually it should be other way around. It should be something like this. We have portion, and this portion will have a parameter record. Portion will have a parameter record. So you can say the portion is assigned to, parameter record is assigned to portion. Okay. And then based on the portion, we'll be creating the MR unit. We'll be creating the MR unit, MRU. So portion, parameter record, and MRU. Okay. So in the MRU, we will then get what is the allowed parameter record. So in the MR unit, we'll get the allowed parameter record. It is basically, coming because of the parameter record what is maintained in the portion. Now, what is the purpose of the parameter record? What is the purpose of portion? What is the portion of particular reason of the MRU? That we have to find out. So portion will control the end billing date. MR unit will control end metering date. Parameter record will provide what are the possible, parameter record will provide what are the possible budget billing cycle, and for each cycle, what is the budget billing date? What is the budget billing date? So parameter record is essentially controlling the budget billing part. Okay. So broadly, you can say there are two types of portion. Portion with budget billing, and portion without budget billing, So at the moment, what we are creating is a portion without the budget billing, because we are doing currently all billings with the meter reading based billings. That means periodically we do the meter reading and then billing. Okay. After doing the complete scenario of consumption billing, invoicing, we'll start working with the budget billing. That time we will learn how to create a portion which will allow the budget billing periods and the budget billing date, so that accordingly we can do the budget billing invoice. Even though you're doing budget billing, at some point of time, meter reading has to happen. Okay. So for that, MR unit is anyway required. Okay. So what is parameter record? It will control the what are the allowed budget billing cycle and then what are the budget billing date. So we will not go much deeper into the parameter record at this point of time, but parameter record has to be maintained when you create a portion. Suppose I'm creating a portion, we have to enter a parameter record. SAP has given one standard parameter record, 0001, and in 0001 already we have the allowed budget billing cycle, and for each budget billing cycle, what is the budget billing date. So we will use 0001 to create the portion. Later, when you're working with the budget billing, we will go deeper into parameter record. We can even create our own parameter record also, depending on our requirement. Now let us create first one portion. When you create a portion, we fix the first end billing date, what is possible. That means you have to start with a base, okay? That means if I use that particular portion, what is the date on which my billing can happen? Always it is maintained with the historical date. That means suppose we are in now 2020, but we might be creating some installations here in our system which are backdated, okay? Or even in a situation, suppose when the SAP is implemented, we are going to migrate all the data to SAP system. There could be some installations or the contracts where you have to do billings for the historical period. So that means you should be able to create metering orders, enter the results what you already noted, and then go ahead with the billing. So that means we must have a portion created with the starting date, not exactly starting from the current month. It has to have some historical date. Okay. In any case, suppose we say we want to create a meter reading in the month of January, we can start here with the portion with the first billing happening in January, okay, 2020. But you can as well create a portion starting with the 2019. So we will have the records for 2019, 2020, 2021. So accordingly, it will help us to control the end meter reading date and the billing date. Now let us create one portion with the very first billing to happen by 30th of January, 30th of January 2019. Okay, so we will say our first billing will happen on 30th of January 2019. Then period of billing is monthly. Okay, period of billing is every month. That means every month we will have the billing date, 30th of January, then 28th of February, again 30th of March, 30th of April, like that. Okay. You can also maintain in the portion factory calendar. If you maintain factory calendar, then what will happen? It will check whether the particular date on which it is scheduled to do the meter reading and the billing, is it a working day or a holiday or a weekend? If it is so, then it will ask us to maintain whether we should do meter reading and billing day after the holiday or one day before. That means if suppose 15th is the date on which you have to do meter reading, but 15th is holiday, okay? So what is the next working date? On 16th, or what is the previous working date? Maybe on 13th or 14th. Accordingly, system will suggest the actual date on which metering can happen. So you can create with the factory calendar or without factory calendar. Suppose in your company, all the days we are operating, then every day is a working day. It is not a holiday. In that case, it will be okay. But otherwise, if you use a factory calendar, it will suggest you what is the date on which the metering can happen. So our requirement here is our portion we are going to create with the first end billing date as 30th of January 2019. Period is 1 month, and the factory calendar we can use 01, which is currently available, which is a Germany calendar. And then we can also maintain what is the budget billing cycle. We are not going to use any budget billing. So budget billing cycle is 00. Okay. 00 means no budget billing. Every month you have to do meter reading and then billing. Okay. So that means you are fixing the first end billing date, a kind of a template. Now, when you maintain the scheduled records, it will prepare the records for all the subsequent months and the subsequent years. Okay. So this is how actually you have to create the portion. Once you create a portion, you can use the portion to create one or many MR units. Okay. Usually in the actual system, you will have several MR units created for the same portion. Suppose let us assume we have got n number of installations for which the billing has to happen every month on 30th of the month. Some installations we want the meter reading and billing to happen by 29th, some to happen on 28th, some to happen on 26th or 25th. In a utility company, every day is a meter reading and billing activity. Okay. So that being the thing, we can create n number of portions, and each portion we can maintain the n number of MR unit. Now, what is the basic purpose of MR unit? MR unit will control, or you can say it can group together n number of installations for which meter reading can happen. Because the MR unit is not for just one installation. We are grouping n number of installations which belong to same MR unit. Let's say a particular MR unit is giving the meter reading date as 28th of every month. Okay. Then how many installations you can do meter reading on 28th? Usually one MR unit is the load of one person. That means if the person starts in the morning till in the evening, how many meters they can read. So one MR unit is the load of one person. Depending on the average number of meters what a person can read, that many installations can be assigned with the one MR unit. Like suppose we are having residential consumers all with the single rate meters. We are going to have, around average 600 meters in a day. It depends on country and technology. Like average in India, it is around 500 to 600 meters a person can read in a day. Okay. But depending on the technology of meter reading, like I have to go to the meter physically in a very close proximity, stand in front of the meter, then note down the meter reading. Okay, it's a time consuming process. I have to go to a building, go to the meter reading room, stand in front of the meters, start noting down the individual meter. Either I enter in a sheet or in my handheld device, I will enter the data. But suppose if you have a kind of a handheld device which can remotely send a signal. You don't have to go right in front of the meters. Just stand somewhere close by in front of the building or not exactly in front of the meters, but in a close proximity. And from there, if you send a signal, it will automatically get the meter readings from all the meters. The meters can respond back to the signal and then read the meters reading directly into handheld device. So there probably you can read more number of meters, maybe 900 or 1000 meters. Okay. Or suppose in certain countries earlier they used to do what is called the mobile meter reading. Okay, it's not meter reading actually physically. It is something like uh, kind of automatic meter reading. Okay, let us say there is a particular van which is passing through the street, and the particular van is having certain equipment which can send a signal to meters nearby and then collect the data automatically in the meter reading system. That means you're not actually going to building, you're not standing in front of the meters, you're just passing through the street, and then the van is having certain equipment which can send a signal to all the nearby meters and then collect the data. So with this concept, you can really read n number of meters. Okay, that means it is like a mobile actually. You are still moving in front of the meters. Maybe you can do 3000 or 4000 meters in a day, okay, depending on the speed at which you are driving the vehicle and how much area you are covering. Okay. And then subsequently it comes automated meter reading facility. In automated meter reading, you're not actually going anywhere near the meter, neither you are passing any vehicle. You got a fixed installation at some place in a particular city, n number of locations. We are having the arrangement. A particular meter reading unit is located that is sending signal to all the meters in that area. Something like, your telecom towers are sending the signal in that particular area so that my mobile can catch the signal very easily. Okay. Likewise, you've got a fixed remote meter reading facility which can send the signals to n number of meters in that locality and then collect the meter reading. Okay, then the numbers can be very huge. It can be 30,000 meters or 40,000 meters or 20,000 meters, depending on the capability of the installations what we are having, which is called MRU. Okay, so that means one MRU can be for 500 meters, one MRU can be for 1000 meters, one MRU can be 2000 meters, one MRU can be 40,000 or 30,000. So depending on the type of technology, that many installations can be assigned to one particular MR unit. Now, all these MR units will have the same end billing date. Suppose we have got, let us say, around 3 million installations. We have got 3 million installations. Now, all these installations, you have to do meter reading definitely once in a month. But I cannot do meter reading everything in one single day. It is impossible to do the 3 million meters to be read in one day. You require huge manpower, even technology is also there. You cannot do it. Okay. So you are dividing it into daily load. Okay. Let us say average meter reading days in the operation are 25 days. Okay. So 3 million by 25, that many installations will come up for meter reading every day. Okay, this is the meter reading load for every day. Okay, that means indirectly 3 by 25 installations. Okay, we are going to have the meter reading done, but all of them should be billed on the same date. They have the end billing date. Okay, that means one MRU, if it is able to read only 500 meters or 600 meters, okay, that means how many MR units you require? One MRU can do 600. So 600 installations or meters can be controlled by one MR unit. But having the same end billing date, I want 3 by 25 million, okay, meter readings to be done. So how many MRUs are required? Okay, that means you can create one portion, and for that you can create n number of meter reading units. Okay, and then once you maintain the MR units, you maintain the scheduled records, and MR unit will go and sit in the installation so that every month all these installations will come up for the meter reading. Technically, you are able to create a meter reading for single meter. That is what we have done yesterday. EL01. EL01 is read the meter, single meter. Okay, read the single meter. Although technically it is possible to do the single meter reading, but practically it is not possible because we have so many meters to be read in a day. So we create meter reading orders in mass. Okay, you can do mass processing. That means at a time for thousands of MR units, you can create the meter reading orders, and then you can also create with the parallel processing. In SAP, we also have the capability of parallel processing where you will deploy more than one application server. Like we know, a SAP system is having a kind of an instance where you got many presentation servers, one application server, one database server. That means that is one single unit. But although our database unit is the same, our server is only one, we can have n number of application servers. So the purpose of having n number of application servers is you can distribute the load. Okay. Let's say when I do meter reading for 6 lakh meters, okay, if I use only one processing server, then it will take its own time. It has to process everything in the background. So it will take some time to process the meter reading orders for the 6 lakhs installation. Okay. But if I break them into more than one application server, let's say I will have 3 application servers each will do meter reading orders for 2 lakh. Okay, that means you're distributing the load across the application servers. Then in a shorter period of time, you'll be able to create meter reading orders for all the installation. So SAP has given transaction for all the three facility: single meter reading, mass processing, and parallel processing. So I will show you later how to create the mass processing, the meter reading orders, and also you can run one parallel processing. Okay. So generally this is how actually meter reading will happen, either with the mass processing or parallel processing. Okay. But ultimately it is the MR unit which is coming for the meter reading. So if you're doing mass processing, we will say meter reading unit MRU1 up to MRU 20,000. That means that many MR units are going to come for meter reading, and each MR unit is having 600 installations. Okay, that means totally how many installations we are creating meter reading order? That is 20,000 MRUs. Each MRU has got 600 installation, and that these many meters meter reading orders will be created in a day, and then for them we are going to do the meter reading. So the scale of operation depends on the actual load what we have. Okay, but also it depends on the manpower. Okay, how will do actual meter reading? If suppose meter reading has to be happening from the person who has to go to actual meter and read, you have to deploy that many meters reading person. Suppose let us say in a day I have to read 20,000 2 lakh meters. Okay, but 2 lakh meters cannot be read by one person. So one person can read actually 600. So approximately how many persons are required? So you can say 2 lakh divided by 600. It comes to 333 people are required. Okay, 333 people are required. Or if it is 1,000 people engaged, okay, 1,000 into 700 or 600 meters. That many installations we have to do meter reading. That is 6 lakh, installations. And if we take 25 days, how many we can actually do? So it will come to 6 lakh into 25. That is almost like 1.5 million. Okay, that many, 15 million, you are able to do 1.5 million you are able to do meter readings. Okay, that means depending on the person in a day you are doing, but we are taking it for 25 days. That means you have to increase the scale of operation, increase the manpower. So in some companies what they do, they will have their own meter reading personnel. Okay, a company has got its own manpower having something like 6,000 people, but in some countries the manpower will be very costly. So they will do the subcontracting. There are companies who will provide this facility of meter reading. So they will provide the people for doing the meter reading. Like in India also, many states they are having the meter reading done not by the distribution company, but the subcontract personnel. Okay. So for every meter reading, they will pay some charges. Okay. For every meter reading, let's say 30 paise or 50 paise we are giving for 1 meter. So that many meter readings. That means out of the meter reading expense, what we have incurred, otherwise, in our operation, we are giving it as a cost to subcontracting. So in most of the countries like US or Europe, all it is done by the subcontracted people who are given the company's logo. They have to wear that logo when they go for meter reading. They are having handheld device, and they are instructed how to do the meter reading, how to talk to the customers. It's a very important activity because the customer is going to meet the meter reading person, and there should be smooth conversation, and then work should be done. Okay. Or sometimes the person may not be able to do meter reading, then we have no option but to do go for the estimation. In order to cut down, now you can see how many people are required and what kind of expense it will happen. This is the reason why many a times we go for estimation purpose. Okay, but estimation is again not a good practice because you are just keeping it enveloped in a problem. Later on, suppose suddenly you do metering after 6 months, the meterings may drastically differ and the customer may have an issue in making the payment. First of all, he will have a doubt the metering is not correct, although it is correct only, but they are used to getting metering and billing with some value. Suddenly, huge value will come, then they will hesitate or think twice whether this metering is correct or not. Okay, so to avoid this, best practice is limit the number of estimations, but otherwise, the best alternative for this will be budget billing. Okay. The very reason why budget billing was introduced is you need not do metering every month. We will have budget billing period where monthly you are not doing metering and billing. You are actually having a budget billing plan. Based on the historical consumption, we come to know what is the consumption pattern of the consumer. So based on that, we fix the amount. Every month, customer has to pay 7,000 rupees, and then this will happen for 11 months. Before the budget billing start, we have done the meter reading. Again, in the 12th month, we do the meter reading. We'll come to know actual consumption, and then what is the amount we should have collected minus what we already collected. The difference can be adjusted with the contract account, and again, the new budget billing period can start. Okay. So the alternative for the consumption billing is budget billing. The essential reason why budget billing comes into picture is to avoid the cost what is otherwise incurred in the metering expenses, and also it will help both the consumer and the company. Consumer knows every month this is the amount they have to pay. They can even fix it up with the direct debit. They can have a arrangement with the bank. The utility company can send every month on the date the invoice for the fixed amount. The bank will deduct the amount from the bank account holder's balance and make the payment directly to the utility company. So the consumer need not go and make a payment or check how much is invoice value. It's already known to them. Okay. So you can have better funds flow management for the utility company, and also for the consumer, everything is fixed. They don't have to think how much amount will come in this month, where I have to go and make the payment. It's already taken care. Okay. So we will see budget billing in the future. So this is a basic criteria in terms of understanding the portion and Yaman rate. So understanding how to create a portion, we'll just go to create a portion, E41B create. So let me say our portion is starting with 60 1. Okay, all our definitions we are doing with 60, company code, division, everything. So 60-1 is a portion, end billing by 29th or 30th of the month, end billing by 30th of the month. Like this, we'll have portion for end billing by 1st of the month, end billing by 2nd of the month, end billing by 3rd of the month, because every day is a billing. Some portion will be available for billing on 29th or 30th or 15th or 20th. So you can create a number of portion, and the parameter record is a mandatory data. We will enter parameter record 0001. But what is the function of parameter record? We will see. Okay. The end billing period, that means if this portion is used, what is the end billing period, or on which date the billing period will end? It is going to end on 30th of January 2019. Okay, we are starting with the base date as 2019. Then we will maintain the periods for 2019, 20, 21, whatever years you want to maintain. Then scheduled date of billing is 29th 01 2019. That means billing can be done on 29th, billing can be done on 30th, but by having the scheduled billing date, system will know what is the scheduled date of mid reading. Suppose if you have to do billing on 29th, that means my scheduled date of mid reading is 29th. You can do mid reading on 29th, you can do it on 30th, but whatever mid readings you are doing on 29th and 30th, the end billing date is going to be 30th. Okay. Then the allocation date. The allocation date is for reporting. That means you might have done some billing on 29th, you might have done some billing on 30th, but for reporting, all these billings are assigned to one particular date. That is the allocation date. The allocation date cannot be after the end billing date. it cannot be before the scheduled billing date. So we will say 30/01/2019. Then period characteristics, we will say monthly. Either you can give it month or you can give days. Exactly, I want every 30 days. Then you can maintain the days as 30 days, or you can say 1 month. If it is bi-monthly, that means not every month, once in a 2 months we are doing, then maintain it as two. Like for some industrial consumers, commercial consumers, we may do commercially, you can say bi-monthly. That means period characteristics is two. That means if you have done the metering on 30th of January 2019, next metering will happen in the March, then it will happen in May, then happen in July, like that. Okay, so it will space out accordingly. And if you maintain days, 30 days. Okay, if it is bi-monthly, 60 days. Accordingly, you can maintain. And then you can also give the factory calendar 01 and correct for the non-working date. So you have two options. Do not correct, then actually not much of significance. You can say use the working day following the non-working day or use the working day prior to non-working day. That means if suppose 30th of a month is holiday, then I can push it into next day or previous day. So accordingly, the system will adjust, include the factory calendar. Now intervals for month related billing, this is a different concept. I will explain later. Then we go to budget billing cycle. We are not using any budget billing, so we have to maintain 00. If we maintain any other period, that means it is going to go for the budget billing. So at this moment, we are not thinking of doing any budget billing, direct monthly material billing activity we want to do. So you must always ensure you maintain 00. Okay, enter it, and then we will save it. So we have created a portion. That means we have fixed a starting date from which I can start creating the records for the subsequent months. Once I create a portion, I'll create the MR unit. Okay. Now you can create n number of MR units, because what is the criteria for creating n number of MR unit? The size of the MR unit, like how many installations you will do meter reading for one MR unit. If suppose we have got 1000 meters to be read in MR unit, then if you are going to do meter reading for, let's say, 3 lakh installations for the same billing period, then 3 lakhs divided by 1000. That many MR units you have to create. Okay. So MR unit can be huge numbers. So we will create our portion already created. We will create now MR unit. Go to create. So I will say 60-1-1. So I go on creating MR unit as 60-1-2-3-4. I can create n number of MR units and then create. So end MR date by 30th. And then for which portion you are creating, it is created for 60-1. Enter. So once you enter the portion, it will show the first year, what are the scheduled date of meter reading. So first month, January 29th is the meter reading date, then 27th of February, 29th of March, 29th of April. Like that, it will show 12 periods for the year 2019. Then we will maintain the periods, master records for 2019, 2020, 2021. You can maintain for 6 or 7 years depending on the requirement. Now you can also maintain here the customer, the actual meter reading form. This is basically a ABAP form what you are maintaining. This form will control the contents of the meter reading, what you need to print. Every time you create a meter reading order, you can print it. So in the print media, what kind of information you want to print? Like you want to say, what is the customer name? What is the connection object address? What is the connection object number? Installation number, premise number, meter number, what is the date of meter reading, what was its previous month meter reading, what is the estimated meter reading, what can be minimum meter reading, what can be average meter reading, what can be maximum meter reading. So all this information has to be printed on the particular form. So that design will be done through form layout. So this will be done through our ABAP team. So we give them the requirements. Accordingly, using the print workbench, they will design the layout. Okay. But here we can use one of the existing layout what SAP has given, ISU meter reading order. Okay, maintain this. And you can also assign to the meter reading personnel. You can maintain the meter reading personnel in the system. Like you can create whatever a meter reading person and then you can assign them. Okay, so it is already having some data. I've assigned it. If it is done by subcontractor, then you can give the subcontractor number. But suppose this MR unit is to be done by the customer, then you can activate the customer. That means there are some installations where we will not do meter reading ourselves, customer will do it. Okay, or we can also allow meter reading to be done by the customer. In some months, we can activate. Then you can print the customer MR form here and then give it to them. But suppose if you're having the meter reading done by the subcontractor people, naturally, when you create a meter reading order, you can print it on a paper. You can see the print review in the computer. Okay. But suppose if you are giving the information to a subcontract person, he will be usually carrying a handheld device. So in the handheld device, it cannot have the same format because the data will be, not correctly formatted. It cannot fit in the handheld device. So there can be a separate form designed for the handheld device. What you maintain here, form download. Okay. That means once you create a meter reading order, you can download the information to handheld devices through the data exchange, and then automatically handheld device will be filled with the meter reading information, how many meter readings have to be done, and the meter reading orders will be downloaded into handheld device. Accordingly, they can go to each and every meter, take the reading and enter it. Okay. End of the day, they can make the data to be sent to SAP system from the handheld device. So you can maintain the form layout according to the type of facility what you're using for the meter reading. So now we will save it. After this, you can go on creating n number of MR unit for the same MR portion 60-1-2 end meter reading date by 30th portion 60-1 and then enter the MR reading form and then enter and then save it. Like this, I can go on creating the MR units. Okay. After creating the schedule master records, now we have to maintain the schedule record. Okay. The schedule records will store the information about every month on which date metering should happen for that particular MR unit. Okay. That means you are able to store this information in the database. For this MR unit, these are the dates on which metering should happen. Unless these scheduled records are created, you cannot create a metering order. That means scheduled records have to be created and stored in the system. So whenever you create a periodic consumption billing, the moment you enter the installation, it will find out what is the MR unit. And for that MR unit, it will show what are the days by which you can do the meter reading. Okay. So now we will create the schedule record. You can create schedule record for one portion or MR unit or one portion or n number of meter reading unit. Okay. So first we will try this portion or meter reading unit. So I will say my portion is 60-1. The date I'm going to create meter reading orders will be 2019 till 2022, 3 years. Okay. That means 12 records for 19, 12 records for 20, 12 records for 21, 12 records for 22. So 48 records will be created for this particular MR unit. So select the for a portion, select it and then generate. So now it says 48 scheduled records are created for the portion without the budget billing, because we have said we are not going to do budget billing. So these are without budget billing. Then accordingly select the MR unit and then generate the records. So it will create the 48 scheduled records. But you might have n number of MR unit. So you would not like to create one by one. You can create at a time n number. Suppose, say for example, I have created one more MR unit, that is 60-1-3. End MR date by 30th, portion is 60-1, and then meter reading form is this, continue, and then save it. So I can create scheduled records for n number of MR units. Go to portion and or mid reading. Select it. So I'm selecting it for the mid reading unit. So key is going to be basically 60-1-2 and then 60-1-3. You can give the range and mid reading date bill date form 01/01/2019 up to 2022. So I'm creating at a time the scheduled rates for mid-reading units 60-1-2 to 60-1-3 and then execute. So pre-generate schedule records for the portion first. We have already created for the portion. So portion is the same, okay, 60-1. So we can say okay. And then it is creating the scheduled records for the complete MR units what we have. At any given point of time, we can check the scheduled records, how they look like. So if you go to the scheduling and then go to schedule record and then display, I want to look at the scheduled records created for MR unit 60-1-1. Remove the date, enter. Now this I have to delete. So display scheduled records. Let me say display up to, because we have got n number, so we will say date up to 30/12/2019. No scheduled records are found for the meter unit before 30 to, did you not create? Let us see. Go to create the scheduled record. MR unit 2019 up to 2022. 48 scheduled records are created. We created only for the portion. We didn't create for the MR unit. That's why it was not showing. So now go to display and then remove the date, enter. So now it is showing what is the scheduled date of mid reading for each MR unit. We are looking at the mid reading date for 60-1. So if this MR unit was assigned to an installation, what is the earliest date on which mid reading could have happened? It would have happened on 29th of January 2019, February, March, like that it is continuing. Suppose this MR unit is assigned to our installation, and then currently if you are doing the mid reading, what is the date on which I can do the mid reading? It will be in the month of January 29/01/2020. So if you select meter reading period end is 30/01, latest is 29/01, scheduled MR date is this, scheduled billing date is this, meter reading by the customer, MR announcement, print date, download date. Okay, that means according to scheduled date of meter reading, that is the date on which we create a meter reading order, and also you can print it or you can download it and then send it to the meter reading person. Okay, so basically here the allocation date is given 29/01/2020. That means when you create a meter reading order, if you want to enter the meter reading results, then automatically it will say you are entering the meter reading data for 29/01. You might have done the meter reading on 30th actually. I mean, actual reading you could have done on 30th, okay? But when you enter it, it will take the allocation data as 29, okay? So that's how actually system is going to create the records. Like that, I can also see it for 2, for which I already created the record. So it is having the records for 60-1-2. Like that, you can also see the data for the portion. So if I select the portion and then see, it is having the data up to 2022. That means if I assign this, if I assign a MR unit corresponding to this particular portion, based on that particular MR unit, the portion will be automatically derived in the particular contract. So let's go to our installation, what we have prepared, ES31, and our present installation is basically created for the division 60, and then it is 223. Now I'm going to adjust the metering unit for the new billing period. I've done the billing for basically the billing period was concluded earlier. My last billing happened for this particular period. That is from 1st of January to 31st of 12. But actual document what you created is valid up to 1st of November to 29th of November. The future billing period is starting from 3011. So for billing period starting from 3011, what is the metering unit? So my new metering unit will be 60-1-1. Okay. Now you can change the MR unit installation if there is no pending metering order. Suppose, say for example, I have already created metering order, but I have not entered the result. Okay, then you cannot change the MR unit. But in our case, we already created metering order. We entered the result also in the system. So I'm able to change to a new MR unit. That means in the month of November 2019, when I'm doing the metering in the month of December, and the date of metering unit will be 60-1-1. Accordingly, the date will be shown to me. Okay, so you can adjust it here. So next time when you create a metering order, we will create with this particular thing. So now I will save it.
Is there any process of changing MRU in a mass? Say for example, if we have 15.
You can change, you can override. For example, if you now to change the scheduled records, first you have to change the master record itself. Suppose you have created a master record with the 60-1 as a portion. You make a change. That means my end billing date is going to be now 27th or 28th. So you already created scheduled records. But once you change the portion or MR unit the data, then you can reschedule it. You can create a new scheduled records. It will override the existing records. It is possible. Mass. At a time you can do it. You got the point?
What is the T code for that?
T code is same. You have to create the MR unit. There's nothing like, you have to override. You have to just go to the scheduling and then go to scheduled record and then create. You have to create. So once you create, what it will do, it will check what is the date you have changed in the portion or the MR unit. Accordingly, it will overwrite all the existing records and create a new record. At a time, if you want to create for all the MR unit, you can select E43A and then give all the metering units, for which you will do at a time creating the new records. So you have to first change the data in the portion or MRU, then you have to create the new records. It will overwrite the existing. Okay, that means
Sir, for multiple installations. For in case of multiple installations, how we can change the MRU in mass?
You can do some data migration tool. You can use LSMW. You can first write the existing installation for which what MR unit you want to do. You maintain an Excel sheet or a flat file, and then run the LSMW, and then in a batch you can change all the data. You have to use some data migration tool, either LSMW or BDC. You can use it.
Okay.
You have to use the data migration tool.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, sir. And where we can maintain that meter address list, sir?
That it is there in the transaction in the metering organization. So if you go to MR unit, you can do it in the customization also. You can do in easy access also. If you go to device management, metering organization, you can create display street route, display street route also you can maintain. But if you want to maintain the metering person, you can also do it in IMG. So go to SAP Utilities, and then go to Device Management, Meter Reading Organization, street route, and in the street route we cannot maintain. We have to maintain. Okay, let me see what is the route for that. So if you go to the particular MR unit what you have created, scheduling, schedule record, master record, metering unit, and then change. Let us say 60-1-1, and then go to metering reader F1. So you have to go to IMG, device management, metering order. I went to metering organization. It is in the metering order. Define the meter reader. Then select the new entry, 0, let's say A01. Text you can give, meter reading residential. Name one is, let us say, Rajesh. And then also, if you are maintained as a business partner, you can maintain, you can save it. If it is something like, a subcontracted person, you can also maintain as a business partner. So this will be available in our, basically in our metering unit. There you can update it.
So the same can be maintained in easy access also.
No, easy access, I think it is not there. Let me go to metering order. It is a customization data. So actually in ISU, some of the customization data you can also maintain in easy access. For example, postal region structure, billing master data. If you want, you can also maintain easy access, but stayed with the customization. But I think it is only in IMG. If you go to metering order creation, it is not there here. So you have to do it in only IMG only. You do it in IMG.
So for changes also had to do with the.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.